Da 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 da. Zane,
Yes, sir.
welcome to Conversation.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
I want to kick this off with a slightly strange question, but it's going to be, I guess it'll have an obvious answer.
Okay.
What do you do for a living now, and what did you want to be when you were young?
Sheesh, bro. Um, I always wanted to be an engineer.
Mm.
I think I've always been fascinated with building or breaking things, one of the two. So I always wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to, I actually was very fascinated with planes.
Okay.
And I thought in my wisdom at the time that I would be like a aerospace engineer or like an aeronautical engineer, engineering planes and figuring out why and how to make them safer and how
Yeah.
to fly and everything.
Mhm.
But then I quickly discovered as I was finishing, I think, high school, that I wasn't really good at certain things, math being included at the time. I enjoyed like mental math,
Okay.
like the very basic arithmetic kind of stuff. Every time we got into like algebra and like calculus, I was like, there's
No,
there's
man.
no fun here. There was no fun here. And then there was a
Yeah.
piece of geography that was also very crucial
Okay.
for
Yeah.
for that kind of work. And I was like, sheesh, man, I'm not feeling this. And so to cement it even further, even though my high school math grade was good and I passed, it was good for me to go study. Like I failed my geography, like properly failed my geography, and I was like, this is the sign that that it wasn't for me. And so I started to branch off a little bit and started to go into computer science and engineering,
Yeah.
and that's what I ended up doing. However, what I currently do now is I work with an organization called YoungLife. It's a Christian organization that reaches out to young people to introduce them to Jesus
Okay.
and help them grow in their faith. And so that's where I've worked since I graduated university, and that's what I love to do. And I think it's been one of the most fulfilling workspaces that I've been, even though I'll still have heaps of engineering practices here and there.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, man.
No, that's great. How did you get to that point where you said, you know what, ministry wouldn't be a bad idea?
Uh, it started, I think, when I came to know the Lord, 2008. It was just an interesting thing that how I came to know Jesus was through, it wasn't even like a direct somebody telling me about who Jesus is. It was more so seeing what God has done for somebody else and being like, I want some of that.
Yeah.
And I had seen what God had done for my cousins, and I was like, I really want to experience that. Now, we had people that had come and reached out to me while I was in high school, including Young Life people,
Okay.
but I never actually turned to the faith there. And so when I was seeing my cousins going through that, and I'm like, oh man, I want some of that. I started to read the Bible, and then I came to know the Lord through exploration, conversation, and sitting with people who were wiser than me.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I was like, I know what I felt, and I know what I've received, and I know what this community offers, and so I want to be able to offer that to somebody else.
Okay.
And so I remember having conversations with my mom, maybe 2009, 2010, that hey, I want to go to like youth ministry school and like do pastoral work and stuff. And she's like, I don't see that happening. But eventually, I bump up with Young Life people again, and we start to click, and I start to realize the essence of what they were doing, even for me while I was in high school, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, yeah,
That's what
that's who I'm rolling with.
Okay.
I didn't know it would be a career. I didn't know it would be where I would work. But I think the Lord just kept adding things that were, adding fulfillment to my life. So that's how I ended up there.
What would you say are one or two things that jumped out from the onset that you didn't really think you would run into once you fully committed to the journey that you started then?
Okay. I don't think I have multiple things, but I probably have maybe, okay, yeah, they would be considered multiple. One big thing and maybe one smaller thing. The obvious smaller thing, which is still a big thing, is that I knew for a fact that God would meet me there, right? And that He would provide. He would always figure out a way. He doesn't need to figure out anything. He knows everything, but He would always be available for me in whatever way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And that there would be provision in that sense. The one thing that took me off guard, that pretty much surprised me, is the community that comes with it.
Okay.
I don't think there's ever a place that I have found people that genuinely care and carry you as much as in the Christian faith, and especially in the circles that I've been blessed with. So that's like the one thing that was like, I had no idea. And it's one thing that I stand by now, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
Any lovely examples we could hear? Just one, maybe.
Even as simple as my YoungLife community, my YoungLife community has, dude, like the joy that I've experienced serving and being served. But even just doing stuff together has been super amazing. Dude, we've rolled with this team for now close to like 15 years, and you work with people for that long, they no longer are just your peers or your workmates. These guys become family, you start to care deeply about even their kids, and what choices they're choosing for their life, and things like that. And I hope that the people that I've served know that for sure, because man, I care for these guys.
Yeah.
I'm not a very verbal person. I don't text or call people, but when we sit and we're in the same space, I am fully present. When I'm gone, I might not act like it, but I'm keeping tabs. And so this community of people has been like, yeah, that's one example.
Zane, you're a father, married man,
Mm-hmm.
2 beautiful kids, but you've got this lifestyle. I would call.
Yeah.
It's fine. No, don't even think about it. You've got a certain lifestyle that would definitely set you apart from many households that I know. And I would really like to pick your brain on that.
Yeah.
To really get, how you arrived at that decision.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are mainly 2. One, you don't own a TV, right? You don't have a television in your house. And
That's true.
I know the car you drive, so it's nothing to do with affording a TV. It's nothing to do with that. And number 2, you homeschool your kids,
Yeah.
right? Let's start with TV, because everyone is like, are you crazy? You have kids and you don't have a television? Like, aren't they like always nagging you all the time? Because, I mean, right now, every single kid is like on Paw Patrol, Cocomelon, or whatever.
True.
Is running the TV for kids right now. So, Zane.
Yeah. Nah, man.
Where's the TV for the kids?
There was a time when I thought, oh, we're gonna get one. We're definitely gonna get one. And then, as time goes, you're like, no. So the reason that we never got a TV is when we got married, we're like, I was pretty young when we got married, and so was my wife. And so Faith and I were like, dude, we don't want to have distraction. Let's not grow with opinions and other things. We could figure out ways for things to do, where to go, and things like that. And so I've always had this adventurous heart of, man, I wanna go travel and go see this.
Yeah.
I wanna go explore that. And I would rather have that than television. And when I'm in the home, I was like, it's not that we didn't have stuff to watch. No, there's computers that you can actually, like, okay, there's a show that I want us to watch together. Let's carve out some time and watch it. And so it's not like it was fully removed.
Right.
However, the concept of something that you can almost subconsciously just switch on in the house, and then it starts to take all of your attention. I removed that. And we said, we're not going to have it. And so as time went, when the kids came, they sort of just merged into that.
Right.
You know, the girls have tablets. They've always had tablets since they were like 8 months old.
Right.
But their tablets have always been, there is a portion of time that you are allotted where you can watch a certain kinds of content that we all love, and we can all know that this is not trash. You know, there is a lot of trash when you leave kids loose. And so there's always been those instances. We do have movie nights at the house. I got a really nice projector, and you know, it's one where when I watch, it feels just as good and even better than some TVs. You know, and so we will do movie nights, and when it's movie night, there's popcorn, there's, you know, homemade pizza, there's all, the whole way, you know, so you go the whole 9 yards. But on a given evening, what I love about it is, you know, you're playing Scrabble with the kids, you're doing some board games, other board games, you're cooking together. We are a family that loves to eat. I am a very huge food snob because I cook,
Yeah.
and so does my wife, and we're both like, we're recipe book kind of people. Like, if we want to make exactly as it looks and exactly as it is. And so that's what we celebrate. We celebrate those things that we do together. I've always been like a Formula One fan. I've always been a basketball fan, but I won't take those things to the point whereby I'm like, yo, chill, I'm trying to watch. I don't ever want that. So that was part of why we didn't want a television, and it still runs today, and we're just comfortable now. We don't need it.
Many that would bring up the argument of the kids.
Yeah.
To say, oh, don't you feel like they may be missing out on one or two things? Like, for example, the tablets. I think from how you answered the question, you mentioned that it seems like this content is also, they're not just like free on the internet.
True.
Right? There's like, okay, you're going to watch this.
It's very curated.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
No, but my kids know who Bluey is. And they watch Bluey, and they've seen episodes of Bluey, and they know who Paw Patrol is. And they even have toys for Paw Patrol. It's not that it's a gate.
Okay.
It's, I'm gonna watch and filter the content that you see, so that I know that it's not teaching you nonsense. I want my kids to be loving. I want my kids to be kind. I want my kids to be selfless. And so there is a lot of content, and well, true that back in our days, the cartoons we watched were probably some of the craziest stuff that you could ever watch on television. You put that stuff on television today, man, parents are gonna explode, right? But I'm very in tune to where are my kids growing right now. And so I'm going to be very intentional about the content they're going to consume, because it speaks into the world that they are now. I think back in our days, if you punch a kid as a kid in a playground, you know, there was a little bit of a debacle, but it would not be like an abuse claim in the next couple of days. And that's how we played, you know. Nowadays, if my kid was to hear something on television or her tablet, and then she says something, even just in passing, it can start a whole kind of trouble that shouldn't be there. So it's just a way of, yeah, man, let's protect the minds of these young ones. Let's give them things to build. Let's give them like tons of Legos. Like the amount of Lego that they play with, the amount of things and stuff they build. My kids fall from trees. I mean, I don't know how many parents can actually claim that right now, that my kid falls from trees. The other day, my daughter rammed her bike into the wall and lost a tooth, right? And I was like, yes, that's what we want, you know? It was an accident that happened.
Free dental?
Yeah. It was an accident.
Yeah.
But that's how we grew up. TV was a section of your day. The rest was play outside. I just want that.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So now jumping to homeschool.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that's another part that many parents consider, this is how your kids are going to be making friends.
True.
This is how your kids are going to obviously learn, from geography, math, and everything thereof, right?
Yep.
So, how did you arrive at that decision as well?
So that's an interesting one. The original homeschooling idea was you weigh all the pros and cons when you're 24 and you're like, okay, we're about to have our first child. But this is the trajectory of our life. And so at this time, my wife and I are making this huge plan of where and how we want to build certain things. And we're like, God is giving us a child. And we want God to give us more kids. However, we also want to build these things that God has entrusted us with.
Yeah.
So we said, if we have our kids going to school, a good school, what we think is a good school,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to build anything. So it was more a money conversation at that point. And so we decided we're going to homeschool our kids for the first, say, 4 or 5 years so that we can achieve some of the things that we want to achieve by the time that we're getting somewhere. And so we did our research. A lot of people, it's more, we want to control what our kids are learning. And
Yeah.
that has become an added advantage.
Okay.
We did a lot of research on the curricula and what should be in it, what shouldn't be in it. We merged a whole bunch of things. And it was very difficult to actually even get started and a lot of work. But in the end, when it started to catch on, it was becoming a sixth sense for us. And the money that we were saving for the kids' education, because we do want them to go to a good school when they get to secondary school and then university. And so we started funds for them to fund that, right? And then part of the money that we were saving, we're like, okay, there is no way I'm going to wait until I'm 40 before I achieve this or before I tick this off my box, so before this is done. And so we agreed as a family and said, okay, here are some of the things we want to do. This is the game plan. This is how we do them. Curriculums were expensive, some of them. Even the books that we've had to buy, we could have sent our kids to a school somewhere and they would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have even learned what they've learned now. So it's had its benefits. And when it comes to social and play and all of those things, we're very intentional about getting our kids play dates and things like that. And you've met our kids.
Smart kids.
They're not shy away kids.
No.
They'll start a conversation with a new kid. They'll approach adults. They're very aware about their boundaries, and they're really, like you say, they are smart kids.
Very smart kids.
And yes, every parent will say that about their kids, and that's okay. But yeah, I think so too about mine. And so yeah, socially, they're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say was one of the, did you ever have a moment where maybe you sat down and you're like, I don't know, maybe we should send them to school?
Oh, like now, like that's a conversation every time they're starting a new year.
Okay.
Or because you're revising the content that they're learning,
Right.
You're revising their curricula, and you're looking at all the books that have been added, and you're like, geez, we don't have the time for this. And so one such particular time was even when they were starting. My daughter is finishing her second grade now, going into her third. And so when she was starting her second grade, we're like, this is too much. And so we had to get somebody to supplement. And so we got a tutor that comes and supplements three times a week. She'll come in for a couple of hours and she'll help. And she's been an amazing, amazing person. Just being able to first learn the path that we're on, the
Right.
curricula that we're teaching, and then merge that with what she knows. She's a teacher, and merge that with what she knows. And she's a teacher who doesn't work in an institution anymore. And so she was like, yeah, I'm willing to take a homeschooling role. And so she comes in a couple of times, she helps with that, supplements, and then we're teaching the rest. And one of the key things was to make sure that we're getting our kids to read and well, start writing early, so that even stuff like assignments become sort of like
Yeah.
easier.
Easy and doable.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I know you also have a pretty busy job, right? The position that you hold at Young Life does, have you in meetings in and out. I know you were in a meeting before you even came here. You're in the car like, hold up, right?
Yeah.
And there is that. There is you also your job does involve you to move around quite a bit. But from what you're telling me, it seems
Yeah.
like you are also a father that wants to be ever present. So am I wrong to assume, like you said, oh, I don't want my kids to go to school because they should be home, so I should be with them? Was that part of the reason? And also, how do you manage to, you're mostly maybe not home, but when you're back, how do you then sort of compensate for all that time that you were usually not home?
That's a great question, and a very loaded question. So yeah, I do have to move around a lot with my work, but I also have a good chunk of flexibility, and so one, I'm always with and around either the home or the kids in a sense. I am going to do cartwheels. I am going to jump in a trampoline. I am going to ride bikes. I'm going to take my kids for a walk with the dogs. I love dogs too. I am going to be all up in that. And when they want to play other things that I find boring or dangerous for me as I age, I'll also let them do that by themselves. But every time I've had to go away and come back, it's an issue that every parent would deal with, I think. Parents have to leave the house in the morning and come back in the evening. We might take that lightly because it's the way that life works, but that leaves a gap in a child as well. Like you're out and you're back, right? So if we don't intentionally get back from work and then create time to bond with the child, with the kids, it it takes away from an experience that they could have with their dad or their parent. And so every time I come back, this is why sometimes it's also just very difficult for me to text and call people,
Right.
because dude, I'll leave my phone in the room and I'll be with the kids, and for 3 hours straight we'll figure out something that we want to do together. But then also I'm very intentional about, if I know I'm going to be away for a week, 10 days before I'm going to tell my kids I'm going to be away for a week. 5 days before I'm going to remind them. The night before I'm going to tell them I'm leaving tomorrow. Do you remember? Okay, cool. And my kids now, they'll like start a countdown. What I've learned now is that there was a time when, and my wife also has to travel sometimes, but there was a time when my wife had traveled and we had communicated to them that she's going to be away for about 6 days. And when she was coming back, she was delayed and couldn't come back until the following day. On that night, she was meant to be home. One of my oldest daughter was pacing around the house, like in the living room, in the kitchen, like properly like anxious, like mom was meant to be here today, but she's not. And that was the first time I ever saw this little kid anxious, like properly anxious. And I was like, oh, snap. Taught me a lesson. Always communicate an extra day longer than you're actually going to be away for. Then that way you solve a lot of problems. But we're very intentional about letting them know that we're going to be away. And they'll do a countdown, they'll do activities. And when I'm coming home, they would have painted like a welcome home or whatever. And these are cards and pictures that I keep, and I'll always keep because they're precious for me. And when I come back, I'm not looking for, I need to go hang out with this one, I need to go hang out with this one. I'm home. So we sit down, we unpack my bags together. We all chill in the room and we're goofing off, telling stories. I'm showing them pictures of where I went, what I was doing, who I was with. And they've had the joy of even seeing some of the people that I work with, whether on a Zoom call or even in person. So I'll show them all of those people. Oh, this one said hi, this one is this one is this. So they're fully part of it. Not that they're not sad when I leave, but it has become something that they know is going to happen. And so that anxiety is no longer there. As long as you communicate how many days you're actually going to be gone for.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Going to buy milk? Okay.
Yeah. Or like for real, like even now, when I was saying I'm going out, I'm
Yeah.
gonna, I needed to get dog food.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit in a meeting, and then after that, I'm gonna meet with Polycarp. They know you, and they're like, okay, how long are you gonna be home? Gone. I was like 2.5 hours. They're like, okay, cool. If I'm like 3 hours later, well, 3 hours would be past bedtime. But
Yeah.
if I'm like 3 hours, then they'll be like, Dad, you said you'd be gone for 2.5. What happened?
Wow,
And that's a
pretty.
story I gotta tell.
Accountability.
Yes, sir.
Bunch of accountability partners.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Okay. Bit of a light question. Who's a better cook?
Oh man, you're trying to get me sleeping on the couch, man. What you trying to do? Let me answer it smartly like
don't
this.
answer it.
No.
You're gonna answer
There are certain things I would never attempt to
Okay.
cook.
Okay.
And then there are certain things that Faith will not even try and do either.
Okay.
So Faith is like the Italian kind of pastas and sauces and things like that, and also the better baker. So pastries, things like that, phenomenal.
Okay.
I am a better grills
Okay.
and meals you didn't think could happen in 25 minutes.
Okay. That's all right.
So
It's better than the restaurant I ordered from last week.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you gotta do something.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. See, so yeah, no couch.
Hey, no couch, bro.
couch.
Hey, dude, what you trying to do?
Depends how how she's gonna be feeling when she watches it. No, right here. I'm gonna play this back and I want you to hear what you said.
Yeah.
Faith, we love you. Just joking.
Hey, that's it.
No, Faith.
Yeah, man.
Zane, you've mentioned you've been working with YoungLife for about, I guess it's 15 plus years now.
Yeah, with YoungLife for about 15
With
years.
YoungLife, 15
Yeah.
plus years. I know part of your story in terms of you working with YoungLife. And I think I met you around the time where I think you had just started about that time, potentially. When did we meet? What year was that?
I don't know, man. You were in high school, didn't we?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was. But yeah, so I mean, okay,
Yeah.
so it could be about maybe 2013, 14?
Yeah, it could be 20. It could be earlier though.
Early 12.
Maybe
Actually,
12. Yeah.
Because I was done with high school by then.
Yeah.
But yeah. So about 2012. And I know I saw you as, this dude who's like in Young Life and whatnot. And a couple of years, I think, down the road, you were on a trip with a couple of friends and whatnot. Unfortunately, we lost 3 of them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think one part that made me pause and think about was, I don't know how I would manage to cope with, I was in the same car.
Yeah.
I was on the same mission with these people, and just like that, everything changed. Zane, how did you, or how have you managed to move from there to where you are now? But before we even get to that question, give me what you were feeling like the next day.
As vivid as I remember the incident and the accident, to say I know exactly how I was feeling would be a miss. I don't think I even had an idea of what I was feeling or processing. There was a whole bunch of emotion, a whole bunch of like pain. I think it's a it's a stock pot of emotions: anger, pain, questions, whatever you may call it. Throw it in there, and it's what was cooking. And so when it comes to how that was managed, I think it's more so the reason that I told you earlier, that this is what I found in this group of people, and it's that family aspect. I think there hasn't been a better support system for me as these guys have been. And this was everybody. And they were, and I guess at that moment you just have to support each other, because if not, then what, right? Because all of you are feeling this same kind of loss. All of you are in this, and so you sort of become your own support group, you know. And where needed, you had to see a therapist. You had to go talk to somebody who's outside of this group, who's not dealing with the same kind of loss, who not necessarily is going to take it away, but is going to help you speak and share and take it out of you. And so I had multiple people that did that for me. Plenty of outlets, and I am grateful that I was able to process that with this group. And yeah, and man, that's exactly how I think I've been and have coped with it. It's a loss that you still feel. You wake up one morning and you're like, this is surreal. This couldn't have happened. But then again, you question it that much, and then you realize there is no way God does that, or God allows something like that to happen without a purpose. And so you open your arms and your hands, and you say, God, I want to see it. I want to experience it. I want to be there when you are, and maybe I'm not, right? I could also kick the bucket anytime, but I want to be there to experience it. I want to ride shotgun on this phenomenal thing that you want to do. So that's how I've processed it, and still processing.
What are some of the what are some of your favorite memories of your friends?
In young life, there's always moments where you're either eating or in a ride together. Besides all of the goofy other things that you do, but the conversations that you end up sharing when you're having a meal and going to share the word somewhere, speak truth with some kids, man, those shape everything, and those give me perspective over a lot of things. And so my biggest memory is I could tell you of times when I had a very deep conversation with all three of them respectively, but then also with three of them together, and all of those moments are like, man, this is gold. I hold on to this, and these are when it's a different kind of conversation, they come up every now and again, and I think that's how I uphold that legacy and keep it alive.
We go to the same church, and I don't think 3-4 months pass by without the friends that you lost popping up as, oh man, so and so was just like this, or so and so was like that. I think there's two sides to maybe that coin. There's obviously you going like, oh wow, those guys were great, and then you're like, oh my god, I also miss my friends.
Yeah.
And I know this is trust me, it's not an easy question for me to even ask you, but then, at the end of your trip, what would you want some of the people that are left behind to be, in discussion about yourself?
Wow, good question. And I think that's a question that everybody should at least have thought about in their lifetime at some point. The earlier, the better. But there's a verse that I live by. It's John 10:10, and it's Jesus speaking to people and his disciples, and he says, "I have come that they may have life and life to the fullest." And the reason I carry that verse so much is um, I believe that in whatever circumstance, whatever situation that anybody is ever going through, the joy that God gives is not something that can be taken away. And I strongly, strongly believe and live by that. And so I've sort of made it my life, I call it a personal core statement, that I want to be a carrier of that joy. And so it is very rare that I walk into a space and you find me processing emotions that are sad. And it's not because I don't get sad. It's not because I don't process those things or I'm stoic or process anger. It's also very rare that people would see me angry. But it's because I truly, truly believe that if I step into a space, I want to carry joy. I want to bring joy to that space, to whoever I'm having a conversation with, whoever I am talking to, or the group, or whatever it is. And so that's what I want to carry. And if at all, and then hopefully then that's what I want to be remembered by. That man, this guy carried so much joy of the Lord. And hopefully I'm passing it on, right? If I'm here with you and you're not feeling like, oh, this guy, can he just leave and go home? But there's like an actual joy that I'm passing on to people. And I truly want to do that. I truly want to carry that in every space that I go to. Yeah, and where there is emotions that need to be processed, I want to create an environment where that can be processed in a way that they should. Where I'm gonna, have to shed a tear, fine, I'm gonna shed a tear. But when all is well and fair, I want to step into this place in a space and bring joy. And that's it. And I think that joy is only existent if you know who God is, if you truly understand what He's done for you, and then if you truly are intent on taking that to the world. If not, it would be very difficult. Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, if anybody wants to find out more about Young Life, where can they go?
Young Life is global, 106 countries. So I'll start, and bring it down. 106 countries all over the world. And so we work, and I know that your audience might be, somebody might be listening from Poland. And so you never know. And so there's Young Life in Poland too. They can find it. So go to younglife.org and you find all the information you need.
Okay.
However, in Africa, we're in 28 countries. So if you're in Africa as well, and depending on where you are, we might also have Young Life there. So if you go to africa.younglife.org, you will also find Young Life there. And on that Africa website, you'll find the Malawi page. And then we're also present on our social media, Instagram and Facebook only. We're not on TikTok. That would be a little bit of a headache to pull off. But if you text on Instagram or Facebook, you get plugged in. And we're pretty much now in all of the major cities in the country and a couple of other districts, reaching over 45,000 young people. And so if you want to be part of that, text, send a message, or even reach out to Polycarp since you're here. And, if you can't find anybody else and he can plug you in. Okay. But yeah, it's an amazing, amazing vehicle that I think God has blessed, and I'm very lucky to be part of. And so if you want to be a part of it too, hit us up.
All right.
Yeah.
Zane,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for coming through.
No, thank you for your time, man.
Da 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 da.